I'll call him.
Because he is interested to join.
Okay, okay. I'll call him, sir.
नहीं तो चराबा बदल जा हाँ
Okay, so very welcome to you. You are most welcome, sir, here in the program. I think our Vice Chancellor, sir, he's very busy right now today. I think he has some meeting with some director of the National Institute, so he could not take part in the program.
Good morning, Bansal ji. Namaskar.
So thank you, sir, for joining us and to bless the program. I think we can now start the program, and I'd like to welcome our Vice Chancellor, Chief Guest, Professor Bansal, Vice Chancellor of Himachal University, and of course our Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Patnaik. So, and even all the participants who had joined the meeting. And with this introduction, with this short welcome address, I'd like to introduce Professor Bansal. I have his CV, and he is a very high academic person. He has been in many committees. Despite, I mean, he's serving as a Vice Chancellor of this Himachal Pradesh. Earlier, he was Himachal Pradesh Technical University Vice Chancellor. Then he was Haryana former Vice Chancellor of Bhagat Phul Singh Mahila Mahavidyalaya, Sonipat, Haryana. Former founder Vice Chancellor of Maharaja Agrasen University, Solan, Himachal Pradesh. Besides that, he is having additional responsibility of the chairman of All India Tourism and Hospitality Board, AICTE, New Delhi, advisor and visiting professor, University of European Tourism, Italia, Europe, chairman, All India Tourism Hospitality Board, AICTE, New Delhi, visitors nominee of Central University, Tejpur, vice president, chancellor nominee in the Punjab University, Chandigarh, nominated member of the Board of Governors, IITTM, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, nominated member of Board of Governors of IIM Amritsar, Maharashtra, Chancellor's nominee, member of Executive Council, Gurugram University, Gurugram, Haryana, member Planning Board of YMCA Haryana, State Technical University, Faridabad. Board member, AIIMS, Bilaspur, by Ministry of Health and the Family Welfare. Despite that, Sir has published more than 100 research papers in reputed international journals. He has contributed 25 books. He has run more than dozen projects worth rupees 4-5 crores. In addition, he has been chairman and the committee members in various important committees. He has been chairman, he has been member, and even he has a best teacher award in 2012 from Himachal Pradesh University. He has many qualities. Thank you, sir, for joining us. And maybe I would like to hear you here. And I think if you can, I think I invite you to just speak your, start your talk, and then I think I will invite, I will introduce our Pro Vice Chancellor maybe later when he will start his speech.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Tripathi ji. First of all, I really would like to offer my tribute of love and admiration towards a great visionary person, Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Simba Sivarao ji. He is my
Namaskar, sir.
good friend, although we met online in various meetings, but now we will have an opportunity very soon to meet together. I also would like to invite him in my university. And thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to share my views on this very important topic. Thank you very much. Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Patnaik, I am happy that this lecture is being organized jointly by the Central University Mizoram and Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal. And again, I am happy that 3 departments of the university jointly together is organizing this lecture. That is the Department of Forestry, where Professor Tripathi is there, Department of Hindi, where Dr. Akhilesh, who invited me, and Department of Geography, where Ashutosh Singh ji is in that department and organizers of the event. मैं अखिलेश जी को कह रहा था कि भाई मैं तो सुनने आ सकता हूं, but I cannot speak on this very topic. This is not my area. But anyway, thank you very much. And dear friends, all we know that we are passing through a very tough phase of life, and COVID-19 has already, we all know, that have jammed all our lives and compelled all of us to rethink, to revisit, and continues to push us towards a new normal. We are living in unprecedented times, experiencing a crisis at a scale never witnessed before. And the only certainty in the current environment of uncertainty is that the world as we have known it so far has changed and continues to change rapidly every day. In the era of globalization and interconnectivity, the disruption, discontinuity, and disorder due to this COVID have impacted all our lives, and already we have witnessed the third wave, Omicron virus, and continues to push us towards a new normal. But the more important is that what we have learned out of all that in the new normal situation, that is very important. And the post-COVID-19 scenario will bring us to new dimensions in the metrics that our trade has forgotten used to measuring business, and the new normal will be influenced by a number of key factors. And there are numerous strategic models which I always used to give for the post-pandemic management that are being suggested always in various platforms. that is the respond, reimagine, recover model, and respond, resolve, recover model, and the survival, revival, growth model. But men, money, material cannot by themselves bring victory or freedom. We must have the motive power that will inspire us to brave deeds and heroic exploits. Dear friends, today's theme topic is very relevant, and as we all know that during India's struggle for independence, numerous leaders rose to prominence. Of course, one of these leaders, rather I can say that fearless leaders, was Subhash Chandra Bose, who was admired by all. Subhash Chandra ji, also known as Netaji, was an important figure in India's war for independence. He was, born in 1897, which is celebrated 23rd day of January, celebrated as his birth anniversary every year. And this year also it was celebrated throughout the country, even outside of the country, by the various organizations. Subhash Chandra Bose took part in the civil disobedience movement during India's freedom struggle, and rather he was a member of Indian National Congress as well. And in 1943, he traveled to Japan and began the establishment of the Indian National Army. Why Subhash Chandra Bose was called Iron Man? Due to for his strong demeanor. Subhash Chandra Bose, who was born in British colonized India, dreamt of an independent India since his childhood. And Subhash Chandra Bose also participated in various movements, including Swadeshi movement, and joined the Indian National Congress in 1939 and left 1940. Following various, he was not agreed on various party leaders, and according to Subhash Chandra Bose, that the freedom cannot be attained solely by non-violent. And for that, he was of the view that really we have to fight together for the independence. That is very important. And Subhash Chandra Bose managed to meet prominent leaders from Germany, Italy, and Japan before forming the Indian National Army in 1941. And Subhash was a very Indian who famously always used to say that give me blood and I will give you freedom. आप मुझे खून दो, मैं आपको आजादी दूंगा. Even Subhash ji could not change his fate on August 18, 1945, when his plane crashed on en route to Japan, and he died maybe tragically. And many critics, however, refused to believe the ideas put forth by the various government organizations. Many believe that that he miraculously survived the plane crash, and after that he remained for many of the years. Even many scholars also proved that he was not died in that plane crash. Dear friends, one individual may die for an idea, but that idea will, after his death, incarnate itself in thousands of lives. Since then, his life and legacy are seen as an inspiration to many generations of young Indians, and that's the reason that Netaji Jayanti is an opportunity to celebrate his role in India's freedom movement. Or we can say that the Parakram Divas, which also called Bravery Day, is now a formal national day that is celebrated in India on January 23rd. Although it was introduced by the government of India in 2021, ahead of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose 125th birth anniversary, and it is also decided that the Republic Day celebration will start on January 23rd instead of January 24 to include the birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. And this year, exactly what happened and what we all are witnessed. that was started on 23rd. In order to commemorate the 125th birth anniversary of the great freedom fighter Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and as a part of the year-long celebrations, the government has decided to install recently. We also have seen in the news also install a grand statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose at India Gate. The statue made of granite, mainly I can say that befitting tribute to the immense contribution of Netaji in our freedom struggle, and would be a symbol of the country's indebtedness to him. That is very important. Till the work for the statue is almost completed, or it is in the progress, and that's the reason that a hologram statue of Netaji is placed. And our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji recently unveiled the hologram statue of Netaji at India Gate on 23rd of January. And the beauty of that hologram is that the hologram statue is powered by a 30,000 luminous 4K projector, and the 3D image of Netaji projected on it to create the effect of a hologram. And the size of that hologram is about 28 feet in height and 6 feet in width. During this program, we all have listened to our Honorable Prime Minister. Prime Minister also conferred the Subhash Chandra Bose Apada Prabandhan Puraskars this year for the year 1990, for the year 2020, for the year 2021, for the year 2022. A total of 7 awards were presented during the ceremony. The Puraskar is mainly to recognize and honor the invaluable contributions and selfless services rendered by the individuals and organizations in India in the field of disaster management. The award was announced. This award now this will be a regular feature for every year, and the award carries a cash prize of rupees 15 lakh for the and a certificate for in case of institution, and cash prize of rupees 5 lakh and a certificate in case of individual. It has been the constant endeavor to honor the freedom fighter in a befitting manner, and special focus of these efforts has been on the legendary freedom fighter and visionary leader Netaji, and several steps have been taken in this regard, including the announcement of the birth anniversary will be celebrated as a Parakram Divas every year, and in this period Republic Day already I have told you that is celebrated now from this day every year. हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा कि ये प्रतिमा आजादी के महानायक को कृतज्ञ राष्ट्र की श्रद्धांजलि है। नेताजी की ये प्रतिमा हमारा लोकतांत्रिक संस्थाओं को, हमारी पीढ़ियों को राष्ट्रीय कर्तव्यों का हमेशा बोध करवाती रहेगी और आने वाली और वर्तमान पीढ़ियों को निरंतर प्रेरणा देती रहेगी। प्रधानमंत्री जी कहते हैं कि पराक्रम दिवस के मौके पर जब हम 4 आर पे उन्होंने फोकस दिया था, पहला आर रिलीफ, दूसरा आर रेस्क्यू, तीसरा आर रिहेबिलिटेशन और चौथा आर उन्होंने कहा था कि इन 3 आर के साथ साथ व्हेन वी आर talking about we are discussing about the relief, we are discussing about the rescue, we are discussing about the rehabilitation, at the same time we also must have to take into consideration reform, perform and transform. This mantra we really imbibe into the blood of the this generation. That is very important. वर्ष 2047 में जब पूरा देश जो है 100 वर्ष बना रहा होगा, क्योंकि हम अमृत महोत्सव बना रहे हैं, और वर्ष 2047 में स्वतंत्रता के 100वें वर्ष में पहले दुनिया का कोई ताकत देश को नए भारत के निर्माण, अपने लक्ष्य को हासिल करने के लिए नहीं लगता कि भारतवर्ष को रोक पाएगा। पर इंडिया हैज ऑलरेडी शोन टू द होल वर्ल्ड ड्यूरिंग दिस पेंडेमिक उन्होंने अपना लोहा मनवाया है पूरे इंडिया ने साबित कर दिया है कि वी आर सुप्रीम। आने वाला समय भारत का है। और इसीलिए प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा कि हमें नेताजी बोस के कैन डू और विल डू की भावना से प्रेरणा लेनी चाहिए, इसी मंत्र से आगे बढ़ना चाहिए। And that is the reason that it was also decided that the museum on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was also inaugurated by the Prime Minister on January 23rd on the occasion of 123rd birth anniversary of this leader, and a new digitized museum that brings to the fore some unknown and interesting facts about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose as a narrative from his childhood days to the trials of the personnel of the Indian National Army. A force Bose has put together to fight the British is inaugurated at Red Fort at the national capital. हमें सबको जाकर के देखना चाहिए। जब मैं सेल्यूलर जेल जाकर के पोर्ट ब्लेयर में मैंने आकर के एक ही संदेश दिया, आकर के बोला कि हमारा जो है, हम 4 तीर्थ पे विश्वास करते हैं, दिस इज आवर 5th तीर्थ, सेल्यूलर जेल। हमें देखना चाहिए वहां पर कितने फ्रीडम फाइटर्स ने, किस तरह से वीर सावरकर जी ने वहां पर अपने जीवन की आहुति दी है इस समाज के लिए, इस देश के लिए। और इस तरह की म्यूजियम जो अभी दिल्ली में बनाया है, मुझे लगता है कि इस तरह की म्यूजियम द सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी आल्सो कम फॉरवर्ड। इस तरह की म्यूजियम हर यूनिवर्सिटी का पार्ट होना चाहिए। द फर्स्ट फ्लोर ऑफ द रेड फोर्ट barrack on which the museum is built is the place from where soldiers of the INA were court-martialed and tried by the British. The trial started on November 1945 and continued till January 1946. 4 galleries barracks at the Red Fort have been converted into museum for visitors. Now, besides the museum on Bose, 3 more museums, including one based on 1987 revolt, one museum based related to the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and the contemporary paintings of the 3rd museum have come up there in that area. There is also redesigned museum names Azadi Ke Diwane. I feel that the statue which has come up there, the museum which has recently created, this is the through these activities we can give a real message to the generation, and this is the road to a self-reliant India, which must be sustainable. Atmanirbhar Bharat. Dear friends, the country is today witnessing a great Mahayagya of social, economic, and constitutional integration, and its capability and determination on every front. Whether we are talking about the water, we are talking about land, we are talking about space, and that is unprecedented. India has started now a new mission of self-reliance to safeguard its interest. Right, it from new COVID-19 hospitals to ventilators, from manufacturing essentials medicine to crossing the milestone of 100 crore plus vaccine doses by this new Bharat. These have been made possible only because of the efforts of every Indian, every citizen of this Bharat. Everybody will have to contribute to enrich the spirit of one Bharat, Shesht Bharat, Ek Bharat, Shesht Bharat, one India. And only when we remain united, we will be able to move forward, and only then will the country achieve its goal of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Atmanirbharta or self-reliance is deeply cultural, made up of 3 pillars, that is Atam Vishwas, Atam Samman, and Atam Chintan. It's very important to give the lessons based on this to this generation of Atam Vishwas, Atam Samman, Atam Chintan. आत्म विश्वास, आत्म सम्मान, आत्म चिंतन तभी खड़ा रहेगा जब हम आत्मनिर्भर भारत की संकल्पना करेंगे। और आत्मनिर्भर भारत 5 पिलर्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। वन इज इंटेंट, यानी इरादा, सेल्फ, स्वयं का भी, बिकॉज Firstly, we have to recognize ourselves when we are talking about these pillars: intent, inclusion, investment, infrastructure, and innovation. Then we have to start from ourselves. We have to recognize ourselves. We have to recognize our duties. If we are talking about our rights provided by the Constitution, India Constitution, we also have to take care about what are our duties towards ourselves, towards our family, towards the society, towards the nation, towards the land where we have taken birth. That is very important. मित्रों, आत्मनिर्भरता इस अभियान को मुझे लगता है कि इंडस्ट्रीज फॉर चौथी औद्योगिक क्रांति से भी बहुत बड़ी मदद मिलेगी, जहां भारतीय व्यापारियों का संघ, जिसमें देश भर के 6 करोड़ व्यापारी शामिल हैं, आत्मनिर्भरता अभियान को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए इंडियन गुड्स अवर प्राइड के नाम से उन्होंने एक मुहिम छेड़ी है, जिसका उद्देश्य है चीनी सामानों का, प्रोडक्ट्स का बहिष्कार करना और उन्हें देश के अंदर बनाने की कोशिश। और ऐसे में जब 3000 वस्तुओं की एक लिस्ट तैयार की गई जो चीन से आयात की जाती है, लेकिन जिन्हें आसानी से भारत में बनाया जा सकता है। इस लिस्ट में खिलौने हैं, रसोई घर के सामान है, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गुड्स शामिल है। संघ का लक्ष्य है कि बहुत जल्दी जो है 13 अरब डॉलर की लागत का चीनी आयात कम किया जा सके, लेकिन ये इतना आसान नहीं होगा जब तक हमारा उस यज्ञ में आहूत नहीं डलेगा। अभी आपने कल भी देखा होगा, काफी चाइना के एप्स जो है वो अभी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने बैन किए हैं। उसके पीछे लक्ष्य यही है कि बहुत बड़ा बाजार जो है वो चाइना में नाम इसलिए ले रहा हूं कि चाइना, बहुत बड़ा बाजार जो है वो चाइना ने कैप्चर किया हुआ है। मैंने तो लगभग 30-32 देशों में गया हूं, मैंने हर जगह मैं गया हूं। मैंने अमेरिका जाकर के देखा है, मैंने फ्रांस जाकर के देखा, मैंने यूके जाकर के देखा, मैंने स्विट्जरलैंड जाकर देखा, मैंने जर्मनी जाकर के देखा। वहां देखा है मैंने कि चाइना ने किस तरह के सारी मार्केट कैप्चर की हुई है पूरे विश्व की। तो इसलिए हमें अगर टक्कर देनी है तो हमें चाइना को टक्कर देनी है। चाइना को टक्कर देनी है तो हमें स्वदेशी मंत्र को अपनाना होगा। 3 प्रमुख क्षेत्र, फर्स्ट इज एग्रीकल्चर, सेकंड इज मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, थर्ड इज सर्विस। कृषि, विनिर्माण और सेवा की बात करें तो हम कृषि और सेवा में आत्मनिर्भर हैं, लेकिन अभी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में बहुत कुछ करने को है। पर यार हम बात करते हैं, जब हम एंगस मेडिसन की बात करते हैं, एंगस मेडिसन जो ऑक्सफोर्ड के सीनियर प्रोफेसर हैं, जब वो वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमी मिलियन पर्सपेक्टिव उन्होंने किताब का आंकलन किया था, जब उन्होंने पूरे कई देशों का जब उन्होंने इकोनॉमी का आंकलन किया, उन्होंने भारत के बारे में लिखा। उनको मुझे लगता है सबने पढ़ा होगा एंगस मेडिसन को। वो क्या लिखते हैं भारत के बारे में कि अरे भारत वो भारत जो 1000 ईस्वी तक 1500 ईस्वी तक जिसकी जीडीपी पूरी दुनिया की जीडीपी का 50% से ज्यादा था, तो क्या हो गया? जब हमारा देश आजाद हुआ उस समय में हमारी जीडीपी 3-4% रह गई थी। अभी भी हम बहुत अच्छी स्थिति में नहीं है। और अगर मैं ये कहूं कि उस समय की जीडीपी, एग्रीकल्चर की जीडीपी अगर हमारी 54% थी और आज की जीडीपी जब हम देखते हैं तो एग्रीकल्चर की 34% हो गई, जब सर्विस की उस समय में जो 17% थी, आज सर्विस सेक्टर 53-54% है। तो दिस इज ए पैराडाइम शिफ्टिंग, एंड दिस पैराडाइम शिफ्टिंग इज नॉट एट द कॉस्ट ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर। दिस रियली वी हैव टू थिंक ऑन दैट। क्योंकि हमारी आत्मनिर्भरता में हमारा तीनों सेक्टर, वो जो एग्रीकल्चर है, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग है। मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इसलिए इंपॉर्टेंट है कि वी हैव टू अगेन कन्वर्ट द विलेजेस इनटू द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब, अगर हमने आत्मनिर्भर भारत का स्वप्न देखना है। एंड फॉर दैट मैटर वी रियली हैव टू थिंक अगेन that economy, that past economy we have to revive, that kind of infrastructure। हम आज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, हम टेक्नोलॉजी की बात करते हैं, लेकिन हम पास्ट में भी देखें कितना सुदृढ़ था हमारा भारत। जब हम टेक्नोलॉजी की बात करते हैं, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की बात करते हैं, तो जब हम वो सेल्फ रिलायंस अगेन इंडिया की बात करते हैं, तो वी ऑलवेज टॉक अबाउट द 5 pillars, that is economy, that is infrastructure, that is technology driven system, that is demography, and that is demand। That's very important। And for that matter, a clear cut vision for the another 25 years when we will celebrate 100 year of independence, that the IPPP model, that is I innovation, that is P patented, that is P produce, and P prospers, that model we have to take। Very important। Dear friends, There are many different ways to understand the meaning of self, because we first of all, it's very important. If we have to take a concept of self-reliance India, we have to take a swa क्या है, हमें अपने आप को जानना होगा. And there are many different ways to understand the meaning of self, ranging from ontological and I believe from ontological to narratological. That is very important. And there are two primary ways of understanding the meaning of a self in relation to the nation: self of a nation and national self. मेरी पहचान क्या है? Who I am. मैं नहीं, हम. जब मैं से हम में कन्वर्ट होते हैं तो हम में बहुत कुछ आ जाता है. हम में वो धरा है जिस पे हमने जन्म लिया है, हम में वो देश है जिसमें हमने जन्म लिया है. What is our duty towards that land, towards that society, towards that nation? What happens to us as individual happens to nation also. And Make in India was already a sellable slogan. क्योंकि Make in India हम लोग ही academician हम लोग ही बोलते हैं ना, Make in India no success नहीं रहा. हमने कभी इसके पीछे देखा है कि Make in India सक्सेस क्यों नहीं रहा? अगर हम ये वाली बात करते हैं कि why it is not successful, क्यों जरूरत पड़ी Make in India 2 को चलाने की? क्योंकि हमने स्वयं को नहीं पहचाना. The list of terms that work around the idea of the self become defining elements of the independence movement. Terms such as Swaraj, Swadeshi, Swabhiman, the region that self, or the prefix Swa is so important to these articulations is because within the idea of self there is a notion of both freedom and governance. The self is an excellent example of responsibility with freedom, since the self will indulge in what it wants and what has a core of survival within it, what we refer to as self-preservation. The fight against the British is not captured merely by the word independence. The Indian language connotation for this word includes Swatantra or Swalamban, both of which have an explicit ground in the self. हम देखें इतने महापुरुषों को, सुभाष चंद्र बोस जी तो एक नेता, और भी कई फ्रीडम फाइटर्स जिन्होंने अपना जीवन जो है समाज के लिए दे दिया. उनको देखें कि सेल्फ रिलायंस इज नॉट in manufacturing alone. It has an articulation of the self of a nation, about progress and development, about educational goal for the future citizens of the country. As an educationist, as an academician, we can contribute. How we can contribute as a self? We can contribute towards implementing the national education policy. This is a beautiful trust which all we have, and this is our responsibility, that how beautifully we can implement this Rashtriya Shiksha Niti 2020. With the pandemic set to transform higher education as we know it, and all we know that this new national education policy is already with us for implementation, and therefore this is a huge challenge before all of us, as well as room for innovation. Because this Rashtriya Shiksha Niti is bringing about a whole set of new challenges in every possible realm. Higher education being just one, and given the rapidly revolving situation around the pandemic, has this forced shift from offline to online mode of teaching learning given us peek into the reality ahead. Technology-enabled teaching is definitely the future we are looking towards, but will it be easy to make this transition? How should different stakeholders contribute to ensure a smooth transition? There is a question mark still. But one thing is very clear, that there is a true relationship between the teacher and child. Today, we don't find the traditional age-old reverence of the students towards the teacher, and love, that kind of same love and affection of the genuine and the genuine concern of the teacher for the students. Because our pedagogy still relies on an outdated education system that lays emphasis on what to think rather than how to think, which also we have listened in Mann Ki Baat of our Honorable Prime Minister. A vast majority of the teachers lack soft skills and that inhibit their knowledge dissemination capability. Dear friends, all academicians are here and all research scholars which are listening, and therefore it is very important to train our teachers, to train our scholars to develop the art of critical thinking. That is very important, and the different traits need to be nurtured in the faculty. That is capability to use evidence skillfully and impartially, and skills to organize thoughts and articulate these concisely, coherently. But the art of critical thinking cannot be taught by lecturing alone. Need skills to imbibe critical thinking, analysis, synthesis, reflections, that etc. can be learned only through practice. No matter what you plan, you never know what life has planned for you. Success introduces you to the world, but failure at the same time introduces the world to you. Often when we lose hope and think this is end, someone inside smile and says it's just a bend, not the end. Dear friend, this is life, and we must and this must be the attitude. आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव हम सब मना रहे हैं। आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव यानी आजादी की ऊर्जा का अमृत, यानी स्वाधीनता सेनानियों से प्रेरणा का अमृत, यानी सुभाष चंद्र बोस जी की जीवनी से लेकर के व्हाट वी आर गिविंग पासिंग टू द जनरेशन, यानी कि अमृत महोत्सव नए विचारों का अमृत, यानी कि नए संकल्पों का अमृत। और अल्टीमेटली वी कैन से व्हाट इज आत्मनिर्भर, व्हाट इज अमृत महोत्सव? अमृत महोत्सव आत्मनिर्भरता का अमृत। इसलिए ये जरूरी है, महोत्सव के रूप में हम सब मना रहे हैं, मनाना भी चाहिए राष्ट्र के जागरण के लिए। प्रिय मित्रों, राष्ट्र का स्वाभिमान तब तक नहीं जग सकता जब तक शक्ति की अभिव्यक्ति नहीं होगी। अब अगले 25 वर्ष के लिए चुनौतियां क्या हैं, हमारा एजेंडा क्या होगा? अगर हमने इस इंडिया को अगेन वही पिछला जो भारत की मैं बात कर रहा था वही भारत में कन्वर्ट करना है, वही सुपर पावर भारत। उस समय में जब हमारे पास वो विश्वविद्यालय थे, तक्षशिला नालंदा तक्षशिला विश्वविद्यालय थे, उस समय में अगर ये रैंकिंग होती, वर्ल्ड रैंकिंग होती, तो उस समय में हमारा फर्स्ट रैंकिंग, सेकंड रैंकिंग, थर्ड रैंकिंग, फोर्थ रैंकिंग सब जितने इंडिया के विश्वविद्यालय थे उनको आती। आज हम विश्व के सबसे युवा देश हैं, परंतु पूर्ण सत्य यह भी है कि हम युवा देश और सबसे प्राचीन सभ्यता का हमारा देश है, हमारा गवाह है, हमारी संस्कृति। विश्व इतिहास में विज्ञान हो या गणित हो या चिकित्सा हो या पर्यावरण हो या खगोल हो या ज्योतिष हो या साहित्य हो या सर्वाधिक वैज्ञानिक भाषाओं से युक्त हमारी ज्ञान की परंपरा युवा पीढ़ी के मन में कहीं ना कहीं विस्मृत होती जा रही है। उसको द्वारा से उसकी अलख को जगाना है। आज हम विकास के आवरण में छिपे पश्चिम के अंधानुकरण के शिकार हो गए हैं। यदि हमारी अगली पीढ़ी मकेलो की मानसिकता, दास्ता और मार्क्सवाद के मायाजाल से मुक्त हो सके तो तिलक और गांधी जी और सुभाष चंद्र बोस जी का जो सपना था वो साकार हो सकेगा। अगले 25 वर्ष में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, अगले 25 वर्ष में हमें अपना एक एजेंडा तैयार करना होगा। वो एजेंडा तैयार कर करके एज ए टीचर, एज ए एकेडमिशियन, एज ए मेंटर, हमने अपने मेंटी को वो अगले 25 वर्ष का एजेंडा तैयार कर करके उन्हें सौंपना होगा। बट फॉर दैट इंपॉर्टेंट अगेन इज सेल्फ मैनेजमेंट, because self-management skills are the abilities that allow people to control their thoughts, feelings, and actions. If you have a strong self-management skills, you are able to set goals independently and take the initiative to achieve them. Purposeful self-management can help you direct the trajectory of your career and ensure you seek opportunities that get you closer to your target, to your goal, to your ambitious target for the nation. Dear friends, learn everything that is good from others, but bring it in and in your own way, absorb it and do not become others. I always said, talk to yourself once in a day. आपसे बढ़िया व्यक्ति हो ही नहीं सकता. You are the best person of the world, but you have to make you the best. That is important. And talk to yourself once in a day, otherwise you may miss meeting an excellent person in this world. with his words. I really would like to thanks to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Pro Vice Chancellor, and the team who have given me an opportunity to share my views. Thank you very much. My all kind of best wishes for all kind of future endeavors of the university. And I'm happy that Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal has taken this initiative with the university to organize this lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful and interesting presentation on the life and different dimensions of our great leader Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and relevance of Parakram Divas. Now, I would like to invite our next distinguished speaker and Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor of Mizoram University, Professor J.K. Patnaik, sir, to share his thoughts and views on this occasion. Professor J.K. Patnaik, sir, please.
Sir, before sir is going to speak, I would like to have a brief introduction of sir. Sir is known to our university very well, we know, but there are some outstation participants also, those who may not be knowing about sir. So I'd like to introduce him in a few words. Sir, he has done his BA and MA degree in the first class first. He is a gold medalist throughout his career, and this is the quality of a person from the the beginning of the education. He has excelled, and later on he has completed MPhil, and then he has completed his PhD degree from the Queen's University, Kingston, Canada. After that, he came here, and I think Sir has participated in the corporate governments and other activities as chairman, the members in more than 100 committees. He has national and 4-5 dozen national seminars. Sir has guided more than 15 PhD students and 5 MPhil students. Apart from that, he has delivered invited lectures in about more than 100 invited lectures. He has chaired technical sessions in more than 2 dozen this conferences. He had about more than 50 publications, research and book articles. So thank you, sir, for your great achievement, and we are proud to have the teacher and the vice chancellor of this capability. So now please share your thoughts, sir.
Thank you, Professor Tripathi ji, Honorable keynote speaker and distinguished guest, Professor S.P. Bansal Saab, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mizoram University, Professor Kera Samsudra Ganji, Dr. Akhilesh, Dr. Mukesh, Dr. Astosh, all my young colleagues. It is a privilege, and I am delighted to be part of this Parakram Day celebration done in collaboration with Bharatiya Shiksha Sansthan and Mizoram University. I want to inform our distinguished guest that we have signed one MOU with this RSR's Research for Resurgence India and something research method something that is the Bharatiya Shiksha Sansthan organization, and I should congratulate Akhilesh, Dr. Akhilesh, for initiating this program. I'm also happy to listen to Bansal Saab, who had a wonderful and very insightful speech on the relevance of Subhash Chandra Bose and the importance of Parakram Divas, which is being generally celebrated on the birthday of Subhash Chandra Bose. Personally, for me, Subhash Chandra Bose, I have got some emotional connect in the sense that he was born in my state. He had his schooling in my state. all his young days, all his thoughts and his ideas that he developed in the later part of his life originated from my state. Because it's not that because simply he was born in my state, he got that ideas. Incidentally, the headmaster of the school, Ravenshaw Collegiate School, Beni Madhav Das, was a very powerful thinker and an independent person who influenced him tremendously in the development of his ideas. He was also influenced by his father, who was a pleader, government pleader, means advocate, and also having enormous influence on the then British government. And incidentally, as Subhash Chandra Bose grew into adolescence, the independent thinking and ideas of his father also influenced him, in the sense that the extent of the contribution that he made as an advocate was recognized by the British government, and he was awarded Rai Bahadur title. And because of some differences with the British government, he renounced the title. Not only the early life of Subhash Chandra Bose shaped his ideas and thinking that developed into a very powerful philosophy of Indian freedom movement, because the development of the freedom movement was not only linked to the mass movement that happened under the able leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, but also highly aggressively nationalistic tone that was colored into the nationalist movement was solely the contribution of people like Subhash Chandra Bose. I say solely because the extent of his influence in the early part of this freedom movement could be felt in the winning of his presidential election in the Congress, International Congress in Haripura. Haripura is in the backyard of Gujarat. It is in Gujarat. It is in the backyard of Gandhiji. And Gandhiji was not supporting Subhash Chandra Bose as a candidate for the presidency of the Indian National Congress. And interestingly, he was supporting Pattabi Sitaramaya. And Pattabi Sitaramaya was defeated by Subhash Chandra Bose in 1938 Haripura Congress. That was the extent of enormous influence that he had on the workers of the Indian National Congress, the tremendous influence that he had by his fiery speeches and his powerful ideas. It was not that the Indian National Congress was not agreeing to what Mahatma Gandhi stood for, but at the same time, the methodology and the strategies for acquiring independence that Gandhiji was suggesting was not acceptable to some, was acceptable with some apprehensions by some, but not totally acceptable also to some. So that was the scenario. Under those scenarios, Subhash Chandra Bose emerged as the outstanding leader of the Indian freedom movement. After he got elected in 1938, actually it was very difficult on his part to work with a group of people who were very close to Mahatma Gandhi, including Jawaharlal Nehru. But look at the magnanimity of this person called Subhash. His ideas about various aspects of nationalist development he wanted Jawaharlal Nehru to become the chairperson of the planning board of the Congress party, because he wanted to develop a model of this nationalist development after independence through a process of industrialization. And you will not believe, Jawaharlal Nehru agreed to the ideas of Subhash Chandra Bose for the process of industrialization, the model of industrialization that he proposed at that point of time. Unlike Mahatma Gandhi, because Mahatma Gandhi was opposed to wholesale industrialization. Also, Subhash Chandra Bose was not just a fiery leader who believed in the path of aggression, I would say, not violence though. He did not speak of violence, but he spoke about aggression. Because Gandhi's methodology was passive. Gandhi's Swaraj was a passive resistance. But Subhash Chandra Bose wanted that this passivity will not have any dent on the mighty British Empire. He was inspired by people like Sri Aurobindo. He was also inspired by Vivekananda, Ramakrishna, Paramahansa. He was a deeply spiritual person. But at the same time, he wanted that in order to alleviate the misery of the masses, the misery manifested in terms of poverty, a country of 38 crores at that point of time, and more than half of the, even 70% of the people were in poverty, disease. And he had his own strategy. A solution that he proposed was that as long as we are under subjugation of the British, we are not going to ameliorate the conditions of our people, liberate the people from the misery. That was Subhash Chandra Bose. Now, I would like to bring in some interesting things that Professor Bansal was talking about. Professor Bansal was, in fact, wonderful in his presentation about the changing contours of India's development process undertaken by the present regime. The slogan of Atmanirbhar Bharat. And this Atmanirbhar Bharat that we often speak and we often would like to have, owes its genesis, in my opinion, to the thinking of people like Subhash Chandra Bose. Because he talked about political democracy, emancipation of women, education to all, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, and sex. The same thing, the method of having Atmanirbharta can be had when all of us will have education, all of us will have economic prosperity, and we want to develop ourselves without having been influenced by the Western ideas and thinking. Our technology has to be indigenous. Our economic process has to be independent. Professor Bansal referred to the enormous influence of China as a giant, economic giant, all across the globe. India will not fall behind, I tell you. In near future, within a few years, we are going to be a $5 trillion economy. When we become $5 trillion economy under the present government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi ji, I think we're sure to reach that magic number of $5 trillion economy. And this $5 trillion economy is not a small thing. Will definitely influence economically all over the world. Our products will be definitely accepted. I'm not going to get into the details of this, the industrial policy recently announced by the government of India, but the various policies that the government of India is, announcing and enunciating will definitely have its effect on the transformation of Indian economy into a $5 trillion economy. Subhash Chandra Bose was not only a freedom fighter, he was also an aggressive nationalist. And the kind of nationalism that he was propagating was similar to the nationalism that we now talk about. Unflinching loyalty to the nation. Ek Bharat, Shrestha Bharat. Unflinching loyalty without having any compromise whatsoever. That's what Subhash was talking about. Such was his dedication to the country that he would not compromise with anybody, whether he met with Hitler or Mustafa Kemal Pasha or any other leader. He was telling that India should not only become independent, but should also guide the world because of its ancient civilizational name and prosperity. I was really impressed by Professor Bansal's speech when he referred to our ancient glory, the ancient civilization in terms of our leadership in education system, Nalanda or Takshashila or whatever. And Subhash Chandra Bose was also very proud of our ancient civilization and culture. But one thing that he talked about was now the time has come for us not only to rest on the laurels of the past, but to work and give every individual that critical opportunity so that we can prosper and become a force in the world. Subhash Chandra Bose, Professor Bansal was referring to the various museums. We in Northeast have got very close to Subhash Chandra Bose because the INA reached to Manipur just before the ending of the war, Second World War. Subhash Chandra Bose, his forces, of course, Subhash Chandra did not come, his forces, because he gave up the commandership to INA, and his forces reached to Manipur, Moirang, the Japanese forces, led by the Japanese, not supported by Japanese, I would say, not led by Japanese. It was led by the INA. And of course, they were prevented by the British. And many people, many soldiers, of course, laid their lives. And even today, Moirang is a tourist destination for the Japanese. And they come over there to pay their respects to their, relatives who laid their lives in Manipur. And in that museum, I have visited personally that museum. And in the museum, we've seen several documents that Subhash Chandra Bose had contributed in terms of his letters. And so many things are there, so many artifacts that Subhash Chandra Bose was making use of also. And these kind of museums that Professor Bansal was talking about would inspire the younger generation about the nationalist spirit Because nationalism is important for the development of not only a nation, of a civilization or a community, but it also enables an individual to find a critical space for himself in the station of life. See, nationalism is not only an idea, it is not an imaginary community. Because generally, nowadays people talk about it as an imaginary community. You know, there are American writers, Benedict Anderson, he talked about imaginary community, nationalism. It is not just an imaginary community. It is more than that, wherein every individual will have a collective presence and identity for the contribution and strengthening of the state. Because state and nation are two different things, but at the same time, they are two sides of the same coin. State is the instrument for the fullest development of an individual. Without the state, you cannot have your individuality. You cannot develop yourself, and you cannot have your individuality unless you have a nationality. That's required for every individual. So now the present dispensation under the leadership of Modi ji is really in the right direction in redefining nationalism, in redefining the role of the state. What does it redefine? Where it is not only an imaginary community, but a collectivity having far-reaching implications for the greater good of that community. State is taking a different shape. State has to take a different shape in the 21st century. Reason is, 21st century is not same as the previous centuries. See, in the beginning, we saw the pandemic and we overcame. We overcame, I would say. Let us declare the victory over COVID. It's going to be declared, but I say it's going to be the victory. Technological transformation, blockchain technology, artificial intelligence, all these things have disrupted the process of development. It has changed our own interaction with each other. And COVID has further accentuated the process. Now we are in a virtual mode and we interact without having any inhibitions. This is because of technology. And we are going to be the benefactors of this new technology. New India is going to emerge as a greater India, the powerful India, more powerful than it was earlier, because of the re-questioning of the notions of nationalism and state, role of the state. And these things could be triggered because of the powerful thinking and contribution of the people, the philosophical ideas of people like Subhash Chandra Bose. It is an alternative model, alternative process to the passivist, cautious process of development. And India is in an aggressive path of economic development because India is a young nation. And this aggression of the young Indians should be translated in transforming India into an aggressive economic powerhouse. Professor Bansal referred to the NEP 2020. Wonderful. Actually, this NEP 2020 is going to bring in a paradigm shift in our education ecosystem. This will bring enormous change in the not only Indian education ecosystem, but also in the world. Will become world guru, Vishwa Guru. We will not, it is not we will, we are going to be. You know, all the important CEOs, presidents of many powerful multinational companies are Indians, are people of Indian origin. India is definitely making noise. It will definitely make a huge noise in the world. I would not go on speaking much because I can go on talking. Because of the paucity of time, I would just like to say that in these kind of seminars or webinars, we have the opportunity to think for ourselves, to think about people like Subhash Chandra Bose, and which would motivate us, guide us in our thinking for future course of action. I am thankful to the organizers. I again thank Professor Bansal ji, the distinguished guest of this webinar. I would thank my Vice Chancellor, sir, who is listening. And I also thank all the participants who are present here. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir, for all your valuable words and your views on different aspects of the life of Subhash Chandra Bose and Parakram Divas. Now, we come to the closing of this webinar, and I would like to request Dr. Akhilesh Kumar Sharma to give a vote of thanks. Dr. Akhilesh Kumar Sharma, please.
धन्यवाद मुकेश जी। आज ये मिजोरम विश्वविद्यालय आइजॉल के लिए बड़े हर्ष और प्रसन्नता का विषय है कि जिसका उल्लेख प्रो वाइस चांसलर हमारे उप कुलपति आदरणीय प्रोफेसर जगदीश कुमार पटनायक सर ने इस बात का उल्लेख किया कि RFRA फाउंडेशन के साथ MZU का जो MOU हुआ, उसके बाद यह पहला कार्यक्रम आज़ादी के अमृत महोत्सव के बैनर तले, और वह भी नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस की 125वीं जयंती के उपलक्ष्य में पराक्रम दिवस का आयोजन हो रहा है। इसके लिए हम हमारे अपने मुख्य संरक्षक आदरणीय कुलगुरु प्रोफेसर KRS संबा शिवा राव सर का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करते हैं कि उनके मार्गदर्शन में, उनकी प्रेरणा में, उनके निर्देशन में यह कार्यक्रम संपन्न हो रहा है। उसी के साथ हमारे संरक्षक के रूप में आदरणीय कुल सचिव प्रोफेसर लल्लन डांगा सर, प्रोफेसर जगदीश कुमार पटनायक सर का भी हम हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करते हैं। और आज के हमारे मुख्य वक्ता प्रोफेसर सतप्रकाश बंसल, SP बंसल सर, कुलगुरु हिमाचल प्रदेश केंद्रीय विश्वविद्यालय धर्मशाला, जिनका प्रेरक, ऊर्जावान और एक नई चिंतन की भूमि प्रदान करने वाला उद्बोधन हम सब ने सुना, और जिस तरह से उन्होंने कृतज्ञ श्रद्धांजलि की बात नेताजी के उन कार्यों के प्रति अर्पित की, समर्पित की, ठीक ऐसी ही कृतज्ञता हमारे हृदय से उनके प्रति बार बार उमड़ रही है। और हम नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस को जिस उनके नारे से, उद्बोधन से जानते हैं, विद्यार्थी जीवन से पढ़ते आए हैं, उनका उन्होंने जिस तरह से उल्लेख किया कि आप मुझे खून दो मैं तुम्हें आज़ादी दूंगा, ये मुझे लगता है कि विद्यार्थी जीवन से आने वाला हर युवा उस पंक्ति से गुजरता है। और फिर जिस तरह से उन्होंने उस संकल्पना में आत्मनिर्भर भारत की संकल्पना पे अपनी बात रखी, प्रकाश डाला, और 3 अहम बिंदुओं पर उन्होंने जो अपना मंतव्य जाहिर किया, आत्मविश्वास, आत्मसम्मान और आत्मचिंतन, यह आत्मनिर्भर भारत की संकल्पना की एक पृष्ठभूमि को, उसकी संकल्पना को साकार करने के अहम बिंदु हैं। उस संकल्प के साथ उन्होंने बोस के, आज नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस के सपने को साकार करने के लिए आगामी 25 वर्षों का एजेंडा मन में संकल्प लेने का, इरादा लेने का ऐसा सब हमसे आह्वान किया। हम उनका पुनः हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करते हैं। और आज के हमारे वक्ता, हमारे ही विश्वविद्यालय के उप कुलपति आदरणीय प्रोफेसर जगदीश कुमार पटनायक सर, और यह भी देखिए एक संयोग है कि बोस, सुभाष चंद्र बोस, नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस जिस भूमि से आते हैं उसी भूमि से हमारे पटनायक सर आते हैं, और वहीं से उन्होंने उनका लेख हमारे सामने प्रकट करते हुए और नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस के कार्यों पर, उनके चरित्र पर जिस तरह से हम गर्व कर सकें, उन चीज़ों पर उन्होंने प्रकाश डाला। और विशेषकर चूंकि यह कार्यक्रम मिजोरम विश्वविद्यालय पूर्वोत्तर भारत के या पूर्वोत्तर भारत को केंद्र में रख करके किया जाने का जो एक मन की संकल्पना थी, उसी के नाते पटनायक सर ने पूर्वोत्तर भारत के साथ नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस के संबंधों पर प्रकाश डाला। और उनके प्रेरक और ऊर्जावान उद्बोधन के लिए हम पुनः हृदय से आभारी हैं, धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करते हैं, कृतज्ञता ज्ञापित करते हैं। इस कार्यक्रम के मुख्य संयोजक प्रोफेसर S.K. त्रिपाठी सर, उनका भी हम हृदय से आभार ज्ञापित करते हैं। उनका निरंतर हमें मार्गदर्शन, उनकी प्रेरणा, उनका उत्साहवर्धन, उनका स्नेह हमें मिलता रहता है। सह संयोजक के रूप में डॉक्टर आशुतोष सिंह जी, हमारे आत्मीय मित्र PUC से, और आज का कुशल संचालन कर रहे डॉक्टर मुकेश रंजन जी, और ICT सेल के हमारे अपने श्री सूरज जी, और इस मंच पर उपस्थित सभी श्रोता, सभी शिक्षक, सभी विद्वज्जन, देश के कई राज्यों से उपस्थित जो श्रोता उपस्थित है, उनका भी हम हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करते हैं। चूंकि पिछले 2-2.5 वर्षों के दौरान जितने भी ऑनलाइन कार्यक्रमों की एक सीमा रेखा यहाँ पर जो खींची गई है, उस सीमा रेखा के तहत मुझे लगता है कि इकाई से दहाई की संख्या भी यदि ऑनलाइन कार्यक्रम में पार हो जाए तो कार्यक्रम सार्थकता की दहलीज पे अपनी थपथपाहट को पहुंचा देता है। ऐसा ही हम यहाँ एक आशा की दृष्टि से इस ओर झांक सकते हैं। और फिर चूंकि हम भारत देश के निवासी होने के साथ इस बात को गर्व से कह सकते हैं कि किसी भी कथा या किसी भी आयोजन में उसकी अंतिम आहुति प्रसाद के रूप में होती है, ठीक ऐसे ही किसी भी बौद्धिक कार्यक्रम में धन्यवाद ज्ञापन भी उसी प्रसाद की भूमिका में आता है। इस मंच, इस पटल के माध्यम से मैं पुनः आप सभी का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करते हुए और अपनी वाणी को विराम देता हूँ। धन्यवाद, नमस्कार, जय हिंद, जय भारत।
Now we end this session. I thank you all once again for your graceful presence, which made this program a success. Thank you so much. Namaste.